Hello, my name is Josie Sanga Chidera, and today I'm just going to think about something that has been on my mind. So, imagine if our ancestors were keeping record of their history. Now, we are not going to be hearing just the European part of the story. We're going to be hearing the African part of the story. And all of us know that before you can judge a situation, you must hear from the both side of the stories, right? I must hear from A. So today we're going to talk about slave trade. I have always wanted to write, I had always wanted my projects to be on slave trade, but then they said no, I should write on education, which I hated, but I still wrote on it. Okay, so what is slave trade? Who were the slave masters? Which people were they using as slaves? Slave trade for me, slave trade is like bondage, living in bondage, and then being subjected to all sort of things because those people were no longer seeing you as human, they were seeing you as animal. The conditions you were subjected to is almost something they self they cannot do to animals, they cannot do to their children, simply because your color was different from their own color. I cannot remember the particular time Mansa Musa went on Hajj. So, but Mansa Musa, a man called Mansa Musa, king of Mali, went on Hajj. And on his way for the Hajj, he, he, he passed through Egypt, and he was sharing good on the streets of Egypt. That singular act almost crippled the Egyptian economy. So many people spoke about this man for ages. Some of us know that the cradle for civilization is still known as Egypt. Egypt is known as the center of civilization. We have the Alexandria School, right, or Alexandria Library. Egypt is known as the cradle for civilization. So everything that was happening around that time must come through Egypt. If the Europeans wanted to go to Asia, they must pass through Suez Canal, right? I saw there was this guy, sorry, let me just diverse one. There was this guy that has been sending pictures on Suez Canal and all those things. And I've been watching him because he's all these people that used to travel on bike from Lagos to he has traveled from Lagos to Ethiopia, and he has gone from Lagos to Egypt. So he's in Egypt at the moment, and he has been sending picture of Suez Canal. And this might be the only time I get to see Suez Canal through someone's eye. And I have been happy about it. I am very happy. I'm always in this guy's always in his posts. I've gone through all his Facebook content, I've gone through his TikTok content because he's updating us on. So back to base. When the Europeans heard about Mansa Musa, they wanted the resources of Africa. They wanted to enslave Africa. They also wanted to take the resources of Africa. So that hence the slave trade, hence the coming of the Europeans. So when they came, they first of all, let's not put everything on their feet. First of all, Africans were already selling Africans. They were already selling parents were already selling their stubborn children to slavery. Parents were already using their children to borrow money. People put everything on the feet of the Europeans. When the Europeans came, they keyed to this slave trade that was already going in Africa. Hence, they started taking African slaves from their home, which is the African home, to the European work for them in their sugarcane plantation, because it was sugarcane plantation that was in existence then. You can hear about Sao Tome and Principe. It was sugarcane plantation that was in existence then. So parents were already selling their children to slave traders, and Europeans came and they keyed into this slave trading that was already going on in Africa. I'm trying. So when they keyed into this slave trade that was already going on in Africa, at a point in time when there was an increase in demand for slave trade, right, for slaves in the European world, the Europeans started raiding African community to take slaves from African community to they raided homes, they raided African community and carted away with our people. They carted away with our people to go and work in their sugarcane plantation. As of that time, they had already ushered in industrial evolution. That's that. So now let's talk about Igbo landing. Today's class is Igbo landing, but I just wanted to give a brief history on why slave trade came to our doorstep. In Igbo landing, 75 Igbos from Aguleri were promised incentive by their captors, right? They will not even be called captors, maybe business partners. Business partners. They were promised that if they come and work for us, we will give you so. So they journeyed, 75 of them journeyed from Igbo land to the European world, to US in particular, because that particular location is now in present day US. On getting there, they saw how their brothers and sisters, they are people of the same skin tone, the same skin color, we are being treated. They were like, how can we leave our home under the pretense that we are coming there to work for them? And they said, oh, this will not happen. So they revolted against their captor, and after the revolution they diligently marched into the sea that brought them. As if you imagine, they were singing Omobara will take us home, right? Which is the river brought us and the river will take us home. According to history, there's this belief that they had then that the river spirits will take them home. Sometimes I don't mean to put that na ndị Aguleri adịghị aga ụka na ha na-eme ihe mmụọ mmiri ọfụma. So maybe that's the same thing that came to play there. So ndị Aguleri adịghị aga ụka banye na mmiri wee kwere n'onwe ha that na mmụọ mmiri chi ha na-efe, the water spirits will take them home, will take them there to their ancestral home. For history called this singular as a revolution, a stand against slave trade. Some called it the flying Africa because they believed that their chain became their wings and their death was not so simple. The spirit that brought them, which is the water that brought them, we also see them home. Thank you for staying this far for my class. God bless you.